Okay, now this is ridiculous. This is a different ordinance.
Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
Okay.
This is a different ordinance.
Yep, just a little bit.
So you guys got to join personnel. Yep.
So we got all sorts of stuff.
Am I showing up?
Yeah, you're showing up.
Oh, everybody up?
Yep.
We're ready. So you're
Yep.
gonna,
Yeah, so we're gonna get started. All right, we're gonna take the roll call right now.
oh, there we go. Okay, all right.
All right. So roll call, we have Alderperson Galvin, Alderperson Dorf, Alderperson Clippers Dax, Alderperson LaFave, all present. All right, now we're on to election of chair and vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Alder Galvin for chair.
And is there a second?
Second.
Is all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so
Bill make
it was Alderperson Dorf. And then was it Alderperson Corpus Dax second that?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve Alderperson Galvin as the chair. And, take over.
I'll entertain a motion for nominations for vice chair.
If you want to. It's up to you. That's right. Go ahead. I nominate Alder LaFave for vice chair.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? That's unanimous.
There's still.
Okay. Okay. Next up, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion approved by Alder Corpus Dax and seconded by Alder Dorf. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, approval of the minutes.
Oh, 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Just wait,
I'm ready to roll. I think so. I'm just like this one. Just give me a shot.
The other one is, the other one is, that's from
Oh, Reggie must have been. That's last night.
There you go.
Ready to go? Okay. All right, approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by
Second.
Alder Corpus Dax, seconded by Alder Dorf. All in favor?
Aye.
All any opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. Under new business, consideration with possible action on a request to fill the following replacement positions and all subsequent vacancies resulting from internal transfers. A is engineering aid 1, Public Works. B is truck driver sanitation, Public Works. C is parking maintenance technician, Public Works. And D is park maintenance worker, Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. Staff?
So this is going to be a recurring item for you guys. As you can see, there will be an attached memo for request to fill. And then there'll also be the position fill request report that'll be filled out by the department heads or the manager. And for, as you guys will go through it before the meeting, if you have any questions, we will have department heads or managers here to answer any questions you might have on each single item. If you don't have any questions for it, or you could always approve them all together, or if you have to take one out separately, you can do that as well.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask about A, B, C, or D?
I don't have any questions.
I don't.
All right, then we'll take all four at the same time. All in favor?
No, move to approve.
Oh, sorry.
Move to approve items,
A-
item 1A through D.
A through D.
Is there a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to approve by Alder Dorf, seconded by Alder LaFave. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Should we also make mention, we used to do this at P&W, that these are only recommendations to council, that if anybody wants to bring something up at council, they certainly can.
You don't have to do it with these, because we all have
Okay.
staff here, and staff will be there.
All right,
Be there.
good. All right, item 2, consideration with possible action on a request to approve the assessor's office reorganization as follows. A, to reclassify the appraiser 1 position to an appraiser 2 position, and recommend approval to fill this position and all subsequent vacancies. Item B, request to retitle the appraiser 3 position at pay grade K to an appraiser 2/3 position. Item C is to request to create an additional appraiser 2 position at pay grade H. Item D is to adopt reevaluation policy presented by the city assessor. Staff?
All right, so what we have here is, as you can see, A through C are some recommendations from the Human Resources Department that HR Operations Manager Falk will discuss, and then from D, we'll have our city assessor, Mr. Schwant, discussing that. So I think Melanie Falk can start.
I'll give you a summary.
Sure.
As noted in the report, in November of last year, Alderman Moore submitted a communication to the Finance Committee asking the assessor to prepare a policy or plan for the city's revaluation process. In December of last year, the Finance Committee recommended that Human Resources work with Russ, take a look at the current structure and determine whether he had the appropriate staffing levels and structure to do this. So after several meetings with the assessor, as well as the finance director, and after conducting a survey of Wisconsin cities that have an assessor's office, they don't contract out, we came up with our recommendations. And what we noticed as a result of those survey results is that smaller cities with less parcels had the same number of staff as Green Bay. We also took a historical look back at the assessor's office, and in 2007, there was a major restructuring and reduction in staff. So prior to that, the assessor's office had a staff of 9, and in 2007, they were reduced to 5. Since that time, when talking with the assessor, there's been an uptick in new construction and remodeling due to low interest rates. We've got a great deal of growth in the commercial, public sector. Permit activity is up. And because of that, the survey results, as I mentioned, we're making those recommendations. One of those is the addition of a new appraiser 2. We're asking that be effective 1/1 of next year, so we look at budgeting that at that time. We also want to reclassify a vacant appraiser 1 to an appraiser 2. That appraiser 1 was recently promoted to an appraiser 2 vacancy. The reason for that is the appraiser 1s can only conduct residential or mobile home appraisals. The 2s can do residential as well as commercial. So in talking with the assessor, there are some efficiencies that can be gained by having these appraiser 2s that can do all of those, as well as the assignment to a quadrant. So each of those appraisers will be assigned a quadrant. They'll learn the area, can better assess or look at changes, understand the properties, and our current structure wouldn't allow us to do that. We're also asking to retitle an appraiser 3 to a 2/3. And we have a couple of positions already in the city table of organization where we want them to be flexibly staffed, and we're requesting that for the appraiser 2/3. We had some difficulty recruiting at the 3 level, and the intent at this point is to either promote from within, a 2 to a 3, or each time that we go out to recruit, we are recruiting for a 2 or a 3, dependent on qualifications. We did take a look to make sure that our salary was in line for that position. We were somewhat concerned with why we weren't getting qualified candidates. And as you'll see, based on my study, we're paying a pretty competitive wage rate. So there isn't any recommendation to raise that salary at this time. And I think that those were the recommendations. The fiscal impact to increase the appraiser 1 to a 2 level is about $6,000 annually. That will be a little bit less for 2018 as if this is approved, we're looking at filling it in May or June. And then the fiscal impact to add a new appraiser 2 with benefits to the table of board is about $85,000.
Go ahead.
So does that bring them, the number of appraisers up to 6, from 5 to 6 total now?
There is a table of work attached with our changes. So we would have 4 appraiser 2s and 1 appraiser 2/3. So it would bring your appraisal staff to 5, and then the city assessor is 6. So staff is 6 from 5 to 6.
Okay, because you had mentioned it went from 9 to 5, so
Back in 07, right.
so then
We're adding 1 new position.
position, so it would be at 6. Okay, thank you.
Does the city assessor feel that we need more staff than that, or is this just, I mean, we went from, it seemed like a lot, you know, it was quite a dip down.
Mhm.
So I'm just wondering, is this like a long-term plan to increase the staff a little bit more every few years, or we're just waiting till they get so bogged down they can't do the job and then we add another one?
I think I'll defer that question to our assessor.
Hi. I think that's a good question. Right now, I think we've looked ahead, and with the help of HR, they've been very helpful going through this process. I think the plan that we've got in place actually does allow us to move forward with this. We've got a new software system in place that will allow us to do things that we weren't able to do in the past. And we've got the efficiencies of the data that we've had that we didn't have in the past, that we're not having to go and knock on doors that we were required to do in the past. So with the data that we have, plus the people that I'm going to be training, I think we're going to be able to do this. Not to say that something will happen, the laws will change in the future that will require us to do more, and there may be some time that we have to have more people, but as I see it now, with the laws that are in place and the staff that we're going to have, I think we're going to be fully capable of doing the job that we're required to. In that vein, the reevaluation process that I've outlined is going to be where, when I get the staff trained fully so that we have a commercial person, plus the people trained to be fully capable in their quadrants that they're going to be assigned to. I think after they're trained with that, I think probably over a period of 4 years, we're able to do a complete reevaluation of the city. And then every 5 years after that, we'll be on a continuous cycle. So that way we'll be within the required allotment that the city or that the state allows us to do every 5 years, and then from there on. If they do change laws to make it a little better for us, I don't know, but that's something we're shooting for right now.
Yeah, Russ, do you mind just stating your name and title?
Rush Want, I'm the city assessor, I'm sorry.
I don't know if this is a question for you or for you, but here it says that we have old system, contracted staff, we have 2. And then on the next page, when you're looking at the new proposed staffing changes, under contracted staff, there is no number.
Well, what we're looking at right there is the contracted staff, because the appraiser 3 that we had prior to this process, we didn't be able to hire, was our commercial person.
Okay.
So that's what the contract staff is helping with the commercial, and they do help with the residential. Until we get fully staffed and have a commercial person in place, I anticipate keeping them on board in a capacity, and as we get more trained, their hours will go down, and along with that, the amount that we're contracted out. At one point in time, when we get fully staffed and have a person that is capable of doing the commercial work on their own, then I don't see us having to need to have an outside contract work. But that could, I mean, if we annex a bunch of properties, then I don't know, that could be something that's out of my control. So that's the plan right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Also move.
Well, actually,
Word.
should we have a motion to take all the items as one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have that first.
I'll entertain a motion then to take all these items as one. So that would be number 2, A, B, C, and D.
I'll move to accept the, to take together 2A, B, C, and D. Second?
All right, motion by LaFave to take, Alder LaFave to take item 2, A, B, C, and D as one, seconded by Alder Dorf. Motion to approve.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, that's unanimous. All right, item number 3, consideration with possible action on a request for out-of-state travel for Commander Abel.
We didn't vote to actually approve it then, just to bring them all together. Or to prove them all together, you said, did you say that?
We approved them all
Okay,
together.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's right. Anyway, consideration with possible action on request for out-of-state travel for Commander Abel and Lieutenant Kane to attend the NFL Security Conference in Carlsbad, California, May 16th through 18th at no cost to the city for transportation, room, or board. Any staff?
And I guess for these items, whenever there is out-of-state travel or travel for a conference that has been approved through the budget, this will come to the personnel committee, so that's why you're seeing that here tonight.
Does anybody have any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Dorf and seconded by Alder Corpus Dax to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Number 4, consideration with possible action to approve the memorandum of understandings with the Green Bay Professional Police Association to add a police sergeant classification and to amend residency. Staff.
So as you know, the police department has a bargaining unit for its officers, and the city and the Green Bay Professional Police Association has been bargaining for some time, I think over 2 years, I believe, to get the sergeant position added to the police department. And this is a tentative agreement that has been ratified by the Green Bay Professional Police Association. And I know it's in the packet, but I could go over some of the highlights if that's what you'd like me to do. So the first MOU is the add the police sergeant classification. So some highlights is that the number of police sergeants will be at the discretion of the chief. The sergeant positions will be filled based on attrition from captains and lieutenants units. However, with all the lieutenant positions, they will not all be converted to sergeants. We will have both lieutenants and sergeant positions. The sergeant positions will be represented by the Green Bay Professional Police Association. To be eligible to be a police sergeant, you must have 6 years of experience to test for a sergeant, but then you must have 7 years of experience as a Green Bay police officer upon accepting appointment of the sergeant position. And then the rate of pay for the sergeants will be $1.25 per hour above the specialist 2 rate of pay. The sergeant positions will count toward minimum staffing. Sergeants will perform supervisory duties, including conducting performance appraisals, participating in the selection process, and recommending initial stages of disciplinary action if appropriate. The provisions of Article 40 unit duties will not apply to the sergeants. What this means is that sergeants can do supervisory duties and also non-supervisory duties as well. And then sergeants will be eligible for overtime. They can pick vacation amongst the sergeant position classification. And then the second MOU that is attached is a slight modification to the residency in the agreement. Essentially, it changes what police officers need to be within the residency limits, and also that it cut out some of the language in there as well. So then the staff can reside outside of 20-mile jurisdictional of the city limits, but it will only be paid for compensation of 1/2 hour of travel time to get within the city. If you guys have any questions for me, you can ask me, or Chief Smith is also here.
I've got a list of questions.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
All right. What is the current, what's the separation going to be between a sergeant and lieutenant as far as pay goes?
I know for the, let me see here. I do have the numbers that if, for each sergeant position that is created in place of a lieutenant position, the cost savings will be about $5,800, so $5,800
That's just from base salary?
base salary.
Okay, it doesn't include overtime or anything, okay. All right. At what point in time can a lieutenant test for, you know, I mean, is it only sergeants can test for lieutenant now, or can a patrolman jump and test for lieutenant?
The plan is to build up a pool of sergeants big enough so that we will have the sergeant pool, sergeants will be the pool for lieutenants.
Okay.
So there'll be a regular progression, police officer, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, commander.
Okay. Spec 1 and 2, they're just pay grades right now?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, you outline a little bit of what they'll be doing as duties, but are they going to be, when it says start a discipline, what is that? How entailed does that get? Are they going to conduct the investigations, or do they do the initial write-up?
What they'll do is they'll do the initial write-up. They'll be in the field constantly monitoring what's going on. When they go to the scene, they'll be in charge of that particular scene. They'll be responsible if they see some type of misconduct or misconduct gets reported to them by a citizen. It'll be incumbent upon them to bring that to the attention of their lieutenant. So maybe write a brief outline of what happened and turn that over to the lieutenant, who will determine how much of an investigation gets done, and ultimately he'll go through the chain of command for discipline.
So that they will be putting pen to paper?
Correct.
Okay. What about sitting the desk? Will they be doing that?
We had a hard time getting them to agree to that, so for right now, they won't be sitting at the desk except if it's an emergency or the lieutenant needs to run out for something real quick. But I think we talked about 45 minutes would be the longest they'd sit at the desk without being compensated for as a lieutenant.
So they can work as a lieutenant then, if need be?
Temporarily for, to fill in if the lieutenant had an emergency and had to leave the station or something like that.
But if they can't fill a lieutenant's position, they will not be able to work a whole shift?
Correct, they will not be able to work a whole shift as a lieutenant.
Okay. Right now, I was reading through the safety staffing levels. How many officers are allowed off per shift right now?
I'd have to
Old school.
I'd have to refer to Paul Abel and let him answer that, that question.
It hasn't changed since you've upbuilt it. It's 4 officers days, 4 officers afternoons, 2 on evenings, and 4 on night shift.
And will that change with the addition of sergeants?
It will not, the sergeants will pick amongst themselves. That was part of the negotiations.
So technically, we could end up with 5 off at a time,
Certainly.
which is something that could impact overtime and staffing levels there.
It could.
So it could end up costing us more in the long run.
It depends on how many sergeants we have on shift.
And how many are you planning on having on shift when it's all set?
When it's all said and done, my ultimate goal would be 3 lieutenants and 3 sergeants.
And 1 captain?
And 1, well, it depends on what that structure looks like, and we can't predict that.
Now, I'm looking at the proposed structure here, it's showing 3 shift captains.
Yes.
Right, we plan on putting shift captains back on June 3rd, back into the shift captain position. But eventually, those captains that are there are going to trid out, and we're going to lose a commander. We're going to lose several captains in the next few years. And my plan is to not fill those positions. Each of those captain positions that we don't fill will result in a savings of $14,644. I plan on making a couple of those captain positions into sergeant positions. So there'll be more people in the field, fewer people in administrative positions is the goal.
Okay. So how many, say nobody takes off, what are we anticipating? How many extra officers per shift will there be on the road?
Well, eventually, we're going to have, I think, we're looking at about a dozen sergeants in the field, and those will come from the lieutenant positions that we are vacating. So there'll be people out in the field that can actually do the work. It'll be about a dozen.
But that's spread over 3 shifts?
Correct.
And some will be on their days off, so 1 or 2 a day maybe?
1 or 2 a day, it sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Can I piggyback on your question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So who's going to be doing the work of the captains and the lieutenants? I mean, I know they're they're doing stuff now.
They are doing stuff, yeah.
So who's gonna
You know,
take
some of
that
those
over?
positions, for instance, I think the captain position that's in profession, or in investigations, that'll be filled by a lieutenant position. And eventually, we'll attrit those out and have other people doing those, doing the work that's on there. Some of the work is gonna get consolidated. As you know, we had 4 captains working together as community police captains. One is no longer there, it's retired. So we're compressed that down to 3 captains now. With the captains going to the watch, we'll put 1 captain in charge there and have a lieutenant on each side of the river to supervise the community policing officers that are out there on the east side and the west side.
So as an alder, I really counted on my district captain. And my district captain sometimes would need to be there on a weekend for something, or in the evening for something, would definitely be communicating with me whenever there were things going on. So it looks in this table of organization, there'll be 1 community police captain. Who will be the contact person for the alders then?
Well, you have the opportunity to call either that one single captain or the lieutenant that's assigned to that side of the river, or you can contact the community policing officer directly. But there'll be 1 captain in charge of all the community policing for both sides of the river.
So a lieutenant will be like a district lieutenant?
Correct. My expectation is that lieutenant will be working more evening hours, afternoon and evening hours, picking up some shifts on the weekends and spending more time in the field with the officers. So that would be an excellent person to contact if there's a day-to-day problem or a day-to-day concern of one of your constituents.
And it also went the other way, where they contacted us because sometimes they knew about an issue. And so that we needed to be alerted to as alders. So I hope that we can keep that two-way communication. It was easier when you had that 1 captain as a point person. And so you had that communication going. But I feel more comfortable knowing now they'll be a district lieutenant.
Right, and the district lieutenant, as I said, will be working on probably a later shift during the day, be more available during the evening hours when we get plenty of calls from people that have concerns after work.
Okay.
This new 20-mile limit that we have, how is that different than what was before? What's different?
That is language structure. So the state of Wisconsin went to the corporate city limits as opposed to in front of taking the police station and going 15 miles. It's now changed to 20, but it's from the corporate city limits.
And we-
So you could go from, say, military and Velp, and it would be 20 miles from that. That's the corporate city limits.
Okay, and that's just for officers that are K-9 SWAT. Do we pay those officers to come in? You know, like we call them on overtime, do we give them travel time?
We give them travel time if we call them in, for safety staffing emergencies. When we call them in, we back up the time when they report to their shift commander ready for duty.
So their overtime starts when they report for duty.
We back it up a half an hour, correct?
Yeah.
So they're getting paid, so we're paying them to live outside the city, in
Yes.
essence.
Only if we call them in.
Only if we call them in.
Yes.
We're paying for their travel time from outside the
Right.
city if we call them in.
So for the guy that lives inside the city, he gets called, he gets nothing when he reports?
No, he gets the same benefit as that person. They show up at the shift commander's desk, they report, they get backed up 30 minutes.
Okay,
Is that not
Everybody
correct?
gets a half hour.
That's correct.
So everybody gets a half-hour backup when they get called in?
Correct. As opposed to in times past, where you would call somebody and they would show up an hour later because they had to shower and they had to eat something, and then they came to work. And they would get time, if you remember correctly, they would get time from the time that phone rang until they got to the
Yeah, well, that changed before I left, so I mean, that had
Correct.
been changed quite a bit before. Do we document how long it takes officers to respond? I mean, if it takes them an hour and a half to 2 hours to respond, do we really need to have them coming in? I mean, I know one community, one department, they do it by radius. The closer you live to the station, you're the one that gets called first, because then you're able to respond sooner to the department for anything that you're needed for.
It makes sense, but that would require us to
Negotiations.
negotiate.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many fewer captains will there be?
Right now, we have 6. We're looking to reduce the size, the number of captains from 6 down to 3 or 4.
And increase sergeants? and
Every time we
lieutenants?
remove a captain, we'll plan on making a sergeant. Every time we remove a lieutenant, we plan on making a sergeant. So there's going to be more people in the field. We'll keep the ones that we need in the positions that are critical, professional standards, obviously a commander down in detectives, maybe a captain in charge of community policing, and then maybe a chief of staff type of position. But it'll depend on how fast the captains that are there are trid out.
I just hope you're not understaffing yourself at the higher levels.
There's some really talented people in the department at the lower ranks. There's some people that I think even at the police officer rank would make a really good chief of staff. People that have a lot of life experience. People maybe had a career prior to coming on the police department, the military. I think they would, really do well in an opportunity to work as, say, a chief of staff position. If someone has some, managerial experience in their past, and they wouldn't have the rank, but they would have the position. And that's been successful in other agencies, and I think there's, now that we are able to compete for these positions, I think it's a great opportunity for people to get more broad background in different spots in the department and become better police officers and more well-rounded police officers.
What will the test process involve to become a sergeant?
It's going to be a written 50-question written exam, and then there's going to be an oral interview with an oral interview panel that's going to include people from inside the department, someone from HR, Celestine Jeffries most likely, and a couple other folks, and that'll be an interview panel. We have questions already set. We're looking to incorporate, after looking at some other agencies, we're looking to incorporate maybe some scenario questions in there. Tell us about a time, or what would you do given this fact pattern. There'll be a peer review, and then a personnel file or jacket review.
Is there going to be any training for them?
Yeah, the plan is to have, what I'd like to see is 60 days of training. We've already been in contact with other agencies, including Milwaukee. We'd like these officer sergeant candidates to go and work in some other agencies like Milwaukee and spend a few days in a busy area of Milwaukee with a sergeant, watching how they do it. Maybe spend some time with the sheriff sergeants that they have and seeing how they do it. Of course, we give them our own internal training and leadership and what we expect out of a sergeant. I'm thinking maybe 60 days of training, 60 days where they'd be learning classroom training and in the field training, and then they would be out in the shifts.
Okay. I guess because what I'm looking for is some assurances here. I mean, I was one of the last sergeants,
Mhm.
okay? And I remember what that was like. And I've seen some of the issues you've been dealing with, and some of the other chiefs had to deal with. And I guess I just want to make sure we're going in a different direction. And the reason I ask on that training is so that when these young men and women are promoted to this rank and they're mentoring these young officers, that with the right kind of training and the right mentoring by the lieutenants and captains, that we avoid some of these pitfalls that we've found ourselves in. And the department continues to improve itself as it moves forward. And so that's why I'm asking about the training and
I think that's absolutely critical. I think it's absolutely critical that they learn from people that have been sergeants in other areas, learn the leadership things, learn all the different dynamics it's going to take to be a sergeant. Fortunately, I'm sitting on about 11 candidates who've submitted applications right now, and if I read off the list, you'd be, I think, very impressed with the quality of the people that want to be sergeants on this department. People that passed up the opportunity to be lieutenants because they want to be sergeants. People with many years of experience, people with prior experience in other agencies. I think you'd be really happy with the candidate pool.
I met one the other day, and I think he'd be great. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. How long do you have to be a sergeant? I know this is getting the cart kind of maybe ahead of the horse, but how long does a person have to be a sergeant before they can test for lieutenant?
You know what, I think right now our lieutenant's testing process is 6 years. I don't anticipate having to run a lieutenant's test for a while because
Right.
we've got a glut of lieutenants. So I suppose that's something that we're gonna have to work out. Maybe down the road we'll make it an 8-year, a total of 8 years and maybe a couple years with sergeant, but we really haven't had a chance to work that out yet. But again, I don't anticipate making another lieutenant for a couple years at least.
Are the traffic officer positions that new? Because they were in bold on this chart.
We have had traffic officers for a little over a year now.
And they were just,
Where are
they're
they?
just colored a little different because it
Oh.
has them stand out because they're an administrative schedule
Oh, okay.
instead of a
All
workload
right.
schedule.
Thank you.
I apologize for all the questions.
I love it. No, I think it's great. We've been beating this up for 2 years now with the union. Many many attempts to get it to pass, and we finally, I think, hammered out an agreement that everybody can really agree to. I think 67% was the pass rate when it came to the union's agreement with it. So I think we spent plenty of time on it, plenty of long hours meeting with them.
It certainly looks like you've put a lot of time and effort into this and addressed some of the issues that kind of maybe led to the demise of the sergeants back in the 90s, so.
Yeah. The thing that I think is the best for us is that we were able to change a contract. Now it's competition for that spot. And so we have some really, I think it's going to be some pretty vigorous competition to get the first few spots. I think the candidate pool is really good, and I'm really impressed with it. I think we have a really solid testing process, and Ben and his crew and training division are working on coming up with the best practices for getting them trained up. We've been in contact with the chief in Milwaukee, pulled stuff from other agencies, so hopefully we'll come up with a really good training program once we kick this off later next month.
All right, thank you.
So
Sure.
in 2 sentences, the main reasons you're doing this, you're changing the organizations, are what?
To provide better structure for the department so that we can keep Green Bay safer. The ultimate goal is to put more police officers that can do work, means answer radio calls, patrol our streets, on the street, and fewer people in administrative positions. Every lieutenant that I had out there couldn't do what we would call real police work. They couldn't stop people, and they couldn't take interviews, they couldn't conduct investigations, they couldn't do many of the things that we want our police officers to do. A sergeant will be able to do all of those things. So I think it's going to provide better public service. I think it's going to save money for the city, and I think it's going to be an all-around benefit. And people are going to see more cops out on the streets, more cops doing stuff, and I think we'll get better supervision out of a police officer that becomes a sergeant and still can do police work.
And we have a question from Oliver Stoyer, but I just want to clarify something so we don't get any of these people that go off on tangents. Lieutenants and captains are policemen. They've taken an oath. If they see something happening, they can take all the police action that a regular police officer can.
Absolutely.
They just can't be dispatched like patrol officers to take accident reports and things like that.
Correct. They don't take accident reports. In emergency situations, we're all cops, and we all react, and we all do exactly what you want
I
us
just
to
wanted
do.
to clarify that
Correct.
before someone.
Sorry if I was...
No, that's
Yeah.
just, you never know. Some people get off on these,
Right.
will take
And
this
don't get me wrong, our lieutenants and our captains are working. Every day they're working. We make sure of that. This saying that they don't do work means they don't answer radio calls and do the primary functions of a patrol officer, which they are prohibited from doing by our contract.
All right. And Oliver Stoyer?
Thank you, Chair. Do I need to come up?
No. I don't know. Does he
Wait,
need to come up?
does he need to come
Yeah, I
up?
think you should.
Yep, you need to come up.
Alder Stoyer, District 10. Actually, for the chief or for Bill. When sergeants were originally, when they were taken away, what year was that? And-
97.
And can someone briefly give the reason why that was?
Yes, at that time, there was a different dynamic within the bargaining unit and the relationship between the bargaining unit and the city. And Jim Lewis was brought in to be a change chief. And he came from Bakersfield, California. They had different structures and ways they worked out there. The sergeants were acting as patrolmen, but not so much as supervisors, maybe as much as they should have. And so to effect the change, he wasn't able to come to an agreement with the bargaining unit, so we felt it was necessary to remove that rank, create lieutenants instead, so there was a definite separation between the supervisors and the rank and file. And subsequent to that, the department has continued to improve year by year, chief by chief. Obviously, we've hit that point where it looks like they can reinstitute the sergeant rank and get a bigger bang for our money and our effort. And I know that before I left, we were having problems getting people to be lieutenants because it was such a jump from patrolman to lieutenant. And they kept lowering the amount of years necessary to get on, and I think we ran into some issues. Maybe it relates to maturity and things like that. And so that's why I've always liked the sergeant's position. But at that time, you could see where it was necessary. There had to be some way of effecting the change.
Well, I understand all that, and I commend Chief and your thoughts on that as well. I like the process, and I'd like to see it continue. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
No, I think it was well done, yeah, to understand what the process is and what you're going through and the reasoning for it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm good,
Thanks,
thank you.
sir.
4, right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Corpus Dax to approve, seconded by Alder LaFave. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Passes unanimously, and I actually have here my old sergeant's badge. I brought this along just for this occasion.
Oh.
then-
and show the picture.
Oh, yeah, and a much younger picture when I was had a little bit more hair, but anyway, okay. Item number 5. Oh, sorry. You're good.
Right, we're good. I'll try.
We're good? Okay.
All right.
Item number 5, consideration with possible action to adopt the revised police department table of organization.
I think we already talked about that.
But, does anyone have any questions?
No.
All right, we're good.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve by Alder Dorf, seconded by Alder Corpus Dax. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. Yep. All right, we're ready? All right, item number 6. Consideration with possible action to modify personnel policy, chapter 29, HIPAA privacy policy. Staff?
So we do have an employee handbook that has all of our policies in it, and the HR department works with the law department to make sure that we're in compliance with all of our policies. And this is one of our policies, the HIPAA privacy policy, that we needed to update to become compliant in. And we have the changes from our old policy to our new one, and that's what we're doing right now.
All right, and this will just be issued to all department personnel once it's approved?
Yep, that's correct. And there's also, there'll be a notice of people's privacy rights will be put on the website as well for all employees to see. And we'll also be having HIPAA training next month as well.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion to approve by Alder Corpus Dax, seconded by Alder Dorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Number 7, consideration
One moment,
with...
please.
Oh,
Not yet. So fast.
Okay.
all right, you're almost caught up with me. Item number 7, consideration with possible action on a request by Alder Dorf to determine if there is a need for 2 meetings per month during the summer for the purpose of setting summer hours for the staff, as well as setting summer meetings for June, July, August, and September for city council.
Do you want to take?
I can talk about the history. Last summer, we had some incredibly long meetings. Now, we had some topics that were extensive and some people that talked a very long time on each one of the topics. So at one time we went till after 3 in the morning. We went till 2 in the morning. We went till 1 in the morning. So I had brought to council a motion that was not for 2 meetings a month. It was a motion that we end our meetings at 11 o'clock, a time certain ending for meetings, and that if needed, that Thursday after that Tuesday meeting would be held for an additional meeting, if it looked like the time would go past 11. The public would be there waiting to testify. We had testimony at 1:30, 2 in the morning from people that had sat there all night. It was not conducive. Somehow, when the motion was made, it got changed to having 2 meetings a month, which in looking at the data, in my opinion, is probably not a necessary thing to do. And it really does eliminate time for staff to be able to take vacations, for even council members to be able to take a vacation. So I would like to propose we go back to the way things were, and that we just have 1 meeting per month, and we bring that, and that would be on the 3rd Tuesday of each month. The reason I didn't go with the first is because the July 4th week, you're not going to have a council meeting that week. So the third Tuesday of each month my motion would be, can I do that now? Okay.
Yeah.
To have council meetings on the third Tuesday of June, July, August, and September. And to eliminate that second meeting of the month during these summer months.
Any discussion?
I need a second.
No.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Alder Dorf to go to one meeting, council meeting, for the months of June, July, August, September, to take place on the third Tuesday of each of those months. Seconded by Alder LaFave.
Is there any data that you have to share with us?
I do not, I just thought of it when you brought that up. I did go through, and I can say that I did go through all the meetings in the summers.
Yes.
And it's really, I think the point you brought up about was it's more the content at the meeting. Sometimes maybe we could have a special meeting if we feel like something's going
Yes.
to come up.
Yes.
It felt like the meetings, some are very short, some are very
Mhm.
long. It doesn't matter if you have one or two a month. It just depends on the content of the meeting. And if I could add one thing as well, there is sometimes a concern about special permits for special events and liquor licenses. We can grant the authority to Protection and Welfare to approve those licenses, so people don't have to wait a whole month to get those as well.
And I've been on protection welfare, and that's exactly what we would do even, yes, in the past years where we only had the one meeting a month. We did that, so it's pretty common.
Would you have to include in your motion that if need be, then it would be that Thursday? If
No,
you
I
need to
think
show up?
that we would, if we needed a special meeting, I think we would, at that time, leave it up to council to decide, right? That's happened before, so we wouldn't necessarily state that.
I guess I have a couple questions before I ask for a vote. Would we be determining, I mean, are we gonna set midnight, 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock is too late, let's call it quits?
Well, my next motion that we're going to discuss
Okay.
is about starting the meetings earlier.
All right.
So we
that-
might want to talk
so-
about it at that point.
Second thing would be, if we do decide at some point during a council meeting that it's enough, let's pack it in, let's do it finish this up another day, how much time do we need to do the proper legal notification
That's right.
and planning?
Vanessa Chavez, City Attorney. So the good news is that when you continue a meeting, you're just giving that 24-hour notice. It's not like canceling a regular meeting. It's a much easier process. So as long as you're telling people when you're going to reconvene, that's really what's necessary. So, and the special meeting, the good news too is that it's 24-hour notice. So if you guys decide on Tuesday that you need to convene on Wednesday or Thursday, you were able to do that just with that notice.
And we know county board always meets on that Wednesday, which is why we didn't want to consider that Wednesday, so, in the past, but.
The third Wednesday.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I think this also is a great thing for the staff, because can you imagine them having to be there till 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the
know.
morning, and then they have to go to work the next day?
Right.
I mean, that's, yeah.
It was
I think that's
really, it was quite
unreasonable.
difficult,
Yeah.
quite.
Mhm.
tough for both.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
All right, we have a motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right.
Capture the votes.
We have to wait.
Okay. Item number 8, consideration with possible action on a request by Alderdorf to determine the feasibility of setting a new starting time for city council and to adjust the staff hours accordingly. Barb?
I can talk about that. Okay, so we came very, very, very close to doing this about a year ago. And one of the alders had a different job at the time that he just had gotten, and it would have interfered with his ability to get there. But since that time does not have that same job anymore, you know who I'm talking about. And so I would like to propose, we can talk about it, I was thinking of 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I agree. I think 6 o'clock sounds fine. It gives time for people, if they have a job to get home, the older people, to get home and maybe could grab something to eat and come to the meeting.
Are you making a motion?
I certainly could. I will move that we consider 6 o'clock as a new starting time for city council, and then to adjust the staff hours accordingly
And is that's not just for the summer, that's for?
for all the meetings.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Dorf to change city council meeting start time to 6 o'clock, seconded by Alder LaFave.
Are we also putting an end time, or is it just the start
We
time?
could, we didn't, that's not on the agenda,
It's not on
right?
the agenda.
So we might have to have that
We can address that,
at another meeting,
right.
Okay.
because it's not on there.
I would have to say, I like the idea of starting at 6. I've seen, people work, but I think 6 o'clock allows enough flexibility for people to make it to the meeting. And at the same time, I've seen people die on the vine waiting for their item to come up at these meetings, and they go so late. I think actually, the late starting time hindered the public's participation in the meetings and their ability to be there through some of these long agendas and get their chance to say what they have to say. So I'd be in favor of a 6 o'clock start time.
And would you want to add what common council day you'd like to start with that? Because obviously it can't happen in the next council meeting.
Oh.
Would we like to?
Like the June meetings?
That's right.
Oh,
Here we
both,
go.
here comes Attorney Chata.
I like that.
So this will be an ordinance change. Our ordinance actually designates what time we start and what day the meetings are supposed to be on, the regular meetings are supposed to be on. And so it would just take effect after the ordinance takes effect.
So when can the ordinance come to council next week?
You can, yes.
And then first reading, and then could go to third reading the second meeting in May?
Yes.
So it could start in, tentatively, it could start in June.
So
Yes.
are we changing the ordinance with the last item when we're going to the third Tuesday?
Is that an ordinance change?
So
too?
our ordinance says that we have meetings on the first and third Tuesdays of the month.
Okay.
And
So-
so you're
we're
just
fine.
suspending that you're
Okay.
canceling essentially.
You're canceling the
Okay.
three, okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Are we gonna switch? Okay, under item E, informational, number 1, recruitment initiated for neighborhood compliance inspector, limited term position, approved as part of the 2018 budget.
And the reason why this is informational is because this item and this position was approved by common council during budget last November. And in the past, these positions have been approved by common council during the budget, and then we brought it to personnel as a request to fill the position, and it was approved again. And just to help with maybe efficiency and to have the HR department or whatever department it is, be able to recruit right away, and then give you information that we are recruiting for this position because it has already been approved. That is why it's informational at this
Okay.
time.
do you need a motion to receive and place on file, or what?
That's what it would be.
Okay, move to receive and place on file.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Dorf to receive and place on file. Seconded, I think one by a hair, was Alder Corpus Dax. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Item number 2, report of, oh, shoot, it's getting better than I thought.
Moves a little
I'll
too
get
fast.
faster.
All right. Item number 2, report of routine personnel actions for regular employees.
Again, this is just informational for you guys to look at. There's not much report from staff on it. But if you ever have any questions, too, feel free to ask.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to receive and place on file.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Corpus Dax to receive and place on file, seconded by Alder Dorf. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. And our next meeting date is May 8th, 2018.
Do we receive this in file? I guess we should.
Do we have to do that?
It's just a.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
We don't have a public hearing this time,
No
right?
public hearings. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Alder Corpus Dax, seconded by Alder LaFave. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we stand adjourned.
It's still on.
Oh, and I gotta go back to.
Something's happened.
Got out, supposed to.
I just